IPPIS, Office of the Accountant General, says it will pay salaries and allowances as prescribed by the Salaries, Incomes and Wages Commission. Federal government impounds British airliner for breaching COVID-19 guidelines. Global markets pick up as economies reposition to weather the effect of coronavirus. Director General Budget Office of the Federation, Ben Akabweze, gets fresh mandate. Welcome to Business Express. We're reaching you from Abuja, Nigeria's capital, and I am Muplang Dakok. So good to know you're still with us on Business Express. The Office of the Accountant General of the Federation has debunked claims by tertiary institutions unions led by ASU that IPPIS was deducting their salaries and allowances to the extent that their take-home is now only 50% of or less of what they earn. A statement released this Monday, the Office of the IPPIS applied the correct rate in compliance with Section 34 of the 6th Schedule on Personal Income Tax Act of 2011. The Office of the Accountant General advised the tertiary institutions academic unions to approach the Salaries, Incomes and Wages Commission, the only body authorized by law to prescribe salary structure and issue circulars for all federal government employees in Nigeria to formalize any agreement on salaries and allowances that they claim to have been approved for them. The federal government has impounded Flair Aviation aircraft for violating the ban on commercial flight into Nigeria following the outbreak of coronavirus. The aircraft is owned by a British company that operated a commercial flight into Nigeria without approval. Minister of Aviation Hadi Sirika said on his Twitter handle that the company was authorized to conduct humanitarian flights but was caught operating commercial flights. Sirika explained that in addition to the confiscated aircraft, a maximum penalty would be imposed on the company for the contravention of the federal government's ban on commercial flights as part of measures to curb the spread of coronavirus. It is one thing to see a need, and it is another to fashion out ways of addressing that need. Coronavirus has opened the floodgates of needs, and people are seeing opportunities to tap. Olayinka Ojo went to town and brought back something on surviving COVID-19.
"26-year-old Jerry Malo is a graduate of automobile engineering from Hertfordshire University in the United Kingdom. With a team of 37, he fabricated a twin stainless food press and hand washing machine with a 75 liters capacity water tank.
Considering the normal way of washing hands, people use their hands to turn on taps, use the clean hands to turn it off. So we just felt that by that process you could contaminate any bacteria, any living organism that has been deposited on the tap head already. So we sat down as engineers and came up with a design.
This prototype can be described as "don't touch, just step." It was manufactured using 100% local content.
We want to build a brand in Nigeria. We want whenever they see something made in Nigeria, it will be like in those days when they say, this is German. So we want to see that these things are qualitative. So we've been focused on how qualitative these products are.
Just like the saying, when you meet the needs of others, you are invariably meeting your own need, thereby creating an enterprise for yourself. With this feat and government's buy-in, Malo and his team someday will be training youths across the geopolitical zones of the country, creating an army of entrepreneurs for the Nigerian economy.
On this edition of Business Express, we shall be looking at lockdown easing and the economy. And Professor of Economics and Entrepreneurship, Seth Akutson of the Kaduna State University, joins me via Zoom. Hello, Prof. It's good to have you with us on Business Express today. Professor Seth.
Oh, thank you very much. My pleasure, please. Thank you.
Okay. So the first phase of the gradual easing of the lockdown ends today. And the question on the lips of many Nigerians is, what next? So what next? Talking about the economy.
Thank you. Well, thank you very much. What next is survival of the fittest. By the time the ease become final, people begin to survive, to begin to work towards how they intend to survive. For instance, I want you to take note that just last year, the Bureau of Statistics of Nigeria declared that over 23 trillion was spent on food alone. And the revised budget that we have for 2020 is just about 10 food. That is net of a country. You know that food will be the first thing. We've been talking about the 3 L's. That means lives, livelihood, and liberty. What people will be yearning for is how to survive, how to feed themselves and their family and their loved ones. And I think this is where we'll be going before they can talk liberty, before they can talk of anything. So the first thing is, how do we survive? Financially, even the country is squeezed, individuals are squeezed, organizations are squeezed. So it's just how do we survive? Like, somebody said that the first thing we'll be struggling for is to have our lives back. And then we can talk of livelihood. So now the next phase is to look at livelihood, then the liberty can come later, then other forms of businesses will begin to come later, then we see what we can do. So, and I think this is the next thing to look at, and then to see how do we arrive at...
Okay, Professor Seth, we seem to be having some technical hitches. We'll take a short break now, and then we'll come back to you.
Let me assure Nigerians that all COVID-19 intervention funds are safe in the Treasury single account, and that government is still open to donations in this regard. Government has opened special accounts with 5 commercial banks which are directly linked to the Treasury single account. Donated funds are safe in the Central Bank of Nigeria. For verifiable information about the funds and other financial obligations of the federal government, please contact us directly at the Federal Ministry of Finance, Budget and National Planning. The account details for the donations are as follows.
So we'll continue our discussion with Professor Seth Akutson. Prof, are you with me?
Yes, I'm with you now. Thank you very much.
Okay. So what are the options that are available now for entrepreneurs towards achieving a viable economy?
As I said earlier on, the options available is to be involved in entrepreneurship online. Small-scale businesses, you have, SMEs and the rest of them. is online. As I said, even United Nations are providing volunteerism program online. So people are trying as much as possible to see that what they do is now online. They want to maximize an online offering. And then the next thing, of course, I've discussed is that people want to be talking about how to survive, how to get food, how to achieve their results. And so these are the issues on ground now. Survival of the fittest. What do we do? What do we do next? So what we are trying to look at now is to see how we can maximize online so that people begin to get foreign exchange by offering educational programs online, offering business online, going to things online. So this is what I think we have most organizations today. But the economy will not remain the same again, and we're not going to have the same of the same. Things will not be normal. They call it the new normal.
Okay, on keeping the economy going, what operational changes do you envisage businesses undergoing? You've talked about online presence. What other operational changes do you think need to be done?
The operational changes is that, of course, most organizations will begin to cut costs. There will be cost-cutting measures that will be put in place. For instance, where there are wastages before, those wastages have to be blocked. Where a lot of entertainment is being handled, they may want to cut that. And sometimes, in fact, not only that, job losses will be involved and people will get. So where there are job losses, that is where the government will come out with necessary fiscal stimulus, necessary monetary policy that will help to the economy to come back to normal within the shortest possible time. And so these are the challenges we're going to face. And hopefully, if the government put the necessary fiscal and monetary policy in place to help jobs to come back, and I think that will be, and then there should be massive support. The central bank has started doing that, massive support to SME and all that. We get this in, and the NAFDAC too, they've already given a cut of about 80% on registration. So these are some measures that have been taken to alleviate the suffering and to help businesses to survive. Because as you can see, about a quarter of our GDP is being driven by SMEs and small businesses. So we need to look at that critically so that we can bounce back to normal.
All right. Tell us your thoughts on the various discoveries we have seen in the war against coronavirus in the country, and also how do you see them shaping the future? That's the effort of the government.
Yes, fantastic. I think from your broadcast now, we have seen how people are now becoming inventive. They said necessity is the mother of invention. As you can see, that the government has to leverage on that to begin to produce, to export. And then since food has become the major thing, this is the time now for us, they needed diversification, to go back to the farmland, to go back to agriculture, to go back to food production. This is the time the government will focus on that with necessary fertilizer, with seedlings, with extension services and all that, to make sure we concentrate on farming. Although our capacity in farming has to do with the primary produce, we can now begin to process, to begin to scale it, to build on the value chain so that at the end of the day, we'll be secondary producers, even tertiary producers. And I think this is what the government should concentrate on now. We have the abundant land, we have everything going for us that we can honor, because oil now has started disappointing us. We cannot rely on that. So we should look at the area that we have comparative advantage, the area that we have enough competent mineral deposit are in abundance in all the states, and I think we can look at that coal deposit and what have you. So this is where the government should concentrate, and the private sector through PPP, public-private partnership, then we should start. We can also start the public-private dialogue to begin to discuss how do we leverage on what we have on ground to take advantage of what we have, so that at the end we can boost the economy. The GDP that is shrinking now, we see how we can stabilize it, and then we go back to grow based on the economic recovery and growth plan that we have planned.
All right, Prof. Are there lessons on trade relations and investments between Nigeria and other African countries to be learned, as well as maybe continents outside of Africa?
Well, there are lessons. We should even thank God that this lockdown happened before the kickoff of the African Continental Trade agreement that we had. Was supposed to take place this year, but I think they are shifting into next year. And so the lesson to be learned is that now leverage on this so that there's so much congestion we have on our route will reduce, and then public transportation should be built so that at the end of the day we leverage on this. This should now become the new normal in our lives. So the lesson to be learned is that, look, that all will not well, and then the buffer that we need to have, external reserve and all that, so that, God forbid, any kind of this thing coming in the future, we are ready for it, and we're going to take, drastic position so that we contain it even before it gets to us. So, and I think these are lessons to be learned, and we've seen that most institutions have started on land programs, so which we don't have before. And I think by the time the schools are back, particularly the university, most of the things they'll be doing are distant learning online. People can get degree online. We can reach out to rural
places.
Maybe telecommunication should get there. So these are the areas that we should focus on.
Thank you very much, Professor Seth Akutson, Professor of Economics of the Kaduna State University, for your time with us on Business Express.
Okay, it's my pleasure. Thank you very much.
The United Nations Economic Commission for Africa and its partners have announced the launch of the COVID-19 Innovation Challenge, focusing on affordable rapid testing, enhanced medical devices and personal protection gear design and fabrication, alternative tools for efficient and effective contact tracing and isolation, as well as development and production of potential drugs and vaccines in Africa. The Innovation Challenge is part of the efforts to boost national capacity to respond and is open to all researchers, firms, public and private development agencies, government leaders, innovators, youths, and development partners. Africa traditionally depends on external supplies of medicine, equipment, diagnostic and tools, protective gear, and medicines. With a global scramble for limited medical supplies, countries are leveraging domestic technology and innovation capabilities and are harnessing and stimulating the entrepreneurial talent to respond to the challenges posed by COVID-19 and beyond. Credible and market-ready innovations will be showcased at the First Africa Innovation and Investment Forum 2020 with a focus on COVID-19 from 15 to 19 June 2020. The forum will bring together innovators, investors, business leaders, and government officials across of Africa and beyond to explore investment and market needs, identify business opportunities, and innovations to support. Nigerian stocks declined week on week following profit taking to see the all-share index lose 0.72%. Let's join Amina Nujem for the weekly outlook.
The stock market report for the week ended 15th May 2020 indicated total turnover of 926.418 million shares, valued at 9.768 billion naira in 20,910 deals. The NSE OSHA index and market capitalization depreciated by 0.72% to close the week at 23,871.33 basis points, while market capitalization stood at 12.441 trillion naira. All other indices finished lower, with the exception of NSE Mainboard, NSE CG, NSE Pension, NSE ASAM, NSE Merry Growth, NSE Consumer Goods, and NSE Oil and Gas, which appreciated. The financial services industry led the activity chart with 676.072 million shares, valued at 5.053 billion naira, traded in 10,753 deals. The conglomerates industry followed with 71.117 million shares, worth 399.502 million naira in 445 deals. The third place was the consumer goods industry with a turnover of 48.835 million shares, worth 1.569 billion naira in 3,497 deals. Now trading in the top three equities, namely FBN Holdings PLC, Guarantee Trust Bank and Zenith Bank, accounted for 335.075 million shares, worth 4.061 billion naira in 4,885 deals. Exchange traded products indicate a total of 146,484 units, valued at 7.397 million naira, traded in 13 deals. Meanwhile, a total of 7,874 units of bonds were traded and valued at 9.070 million naira. That's the market report.
And this week, the equities market opened on a positive note. The all-share index advanced by 0.29% to close at 23,941.75 basis points. Investors invested 333 million shares worth 2.9 billion naira in 5,544 deals, while market capitalization rose to 12.4 trillion naira. Access Bank, Zenith Bank, and Sterling Bank were the stocks that were looked out for, while Okomu Oil, MTN Nigeria, and Unilever were the top gainers, and Guinness, May & Baker, and Etisalat were the losers for the day. Global stocks edge up at the weekend as economies position to take on coronavirus and its impact. Bosede Ebu takes it from here.
Major markets in Asia were little changed Monday, 18th May, as U.S. Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell said the economy stateside may need a coronavirus vaccine to fully recover. Shanghai Composite went up 0.24% to 2,875.42. Hang Seng Index was 0.58% higher as of its final hour of trading, and Nikkei 0.48 higher at 20,133. European stocks traded sharply as investor confidence rises cautiously, with lockdown restrictions around the world being lifted. Major U.S. stocks rose as investors weighed comments by Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell on the state of the economy against signs of optimism as states began to reopen for business over the weekend. Dow Jones Industrial Average Futures showed an opening gain of 0.25%. S&P 500 and Nasdaq Futures also pointed to gains at the open. Most Africa stocks also traded higher, with Nairobi's all-share, South Africa's JSE Africa Top 40, and Ghana's GSA Composite Index posting gains.
Let's now take a trip to the currency markets to see how the Naira is faring alongside other major currencies. Commodity futures begin the week solid, buoyed by increasing demand. Let's see Monday figures. And with that, we've come to the end of this edition of Business Express. We value your feedback, so keep the mails, the comments, the observations and suggestions coming. And be informed that all previous episodes are available on YouTube and on NTA's YouTube channels. You can also communicate with us on Twitter. The handle is @NTA News Now. And don't forget to use the hashtag BizX. Remember to always wash your hands with soap under running water as the world battles COVID-19. Business Express returns on Wednesday. I am Muplang Dakok.